We are just getting ready to get set up to do a quick, easy, simple fall wreath design. This is one of the designs I first learned to make, so I'm going back to the basics today to make something simple before I leave for the 4th. What are you all doing for the 4th? Anything fun? Right, this is our sign that we're going to use today. Just says handpicked. Farm fresh pumpkins. I've got some wire in there in the little top 2 holes that were already made. So we're just going to design something, a quick easy wreath with that. I'm going to go ahead and get my chenille stems on. Come on in and say hello when you are here. Let me know where you're watching from, what your plans are for today. Make sure as you come in, you're sharing out the live. I'm still fairly new to TikTok, so I haven't mastered all of those things like sharing and of my own live. So if you just tap and share, that'd be great. Hey Loretta, hey Shanna, Jojo, Rosie. Come on in, we're just making a quick, easy, simple, very simple fall design. Like I said, I'm going back to the basics from when I first learned to create. We're gonna do something really quick and easy. Probably have this done in, I don't know, less than an hour. Come on in and say hello. Tell me where you're watching from. Going to any cookouts today? What's everyone doing today? Hey Rosie, hey, I am fantastic today. How about you? I'm actually not going anywhere for the 4th. I'm just kind of hanging out at home. And so I thought I'd get on here and do a quick design. We're going back to the basics. Hey Rosie, can you let me know if my music is too loud? Because I can't, you know, obviously I can hear it, but I have no idea what it sounds like to you. Thank you for the share. And again, we, you know, as you engage and you're active in these lives, it also increases your engagement with others who you want to follow you. So make sure you're engaging, making a comment. You're good staying home. Yeah, I'm just staying home. We're going to do a quick design, and then I don't know what I'm going to get into, but my son is working, so it's just really a simple, easy day. So I'm just taking a 10-inch base, and I've just thrown on some chenille stems so far. The music is good. Thank you so much. And then this is the sign that we're going to be doing. So I thought I'd pull out some of this steel blue along the edge, and the orange and the cream. And then, I don't know if you can see it, but there is a little ivy in here. So I'm going to throw in some ivy once we get this all built. Okay, we're doing very simple design. I have 12 pieces of mesh already cut because nobody wants to watch me cut mesh. They're anywhere from 29 to 30 inches. Really, you can do what you want. And I'm going to show you 2 ways you can fold your mesh for a design like this. If you want to do a simple pancake wreath, very simple, flat, that can go in between storm doors, you can take your mesh and simply do like the ruffle method. Make it look like a little bow tie like this, right? And then you can put it into your mesh. I'll show you one piece. I'm not going to do that today, but I will show you how to do it. You're going to put it into your base, and then just move your circles, your mesh around so that it overlaps each other. like that. So it makes like a round circle, but it's super flat, and it will hold your design, but still be flat enough for the doors. But I'm not going to do that today. I want to do a little bit of a different method. So let's pop this out, and I'm going to unfold it. And I'm actually going to do the fold over method. So we are today just going to fold this in half. So cute. Thank you so much, Rosie. Fold the other side in half on top so that it looks like this, right? And your fold is right here in the middle, so you don't have any fraying. Now we're going to take this folded side, put it on the bottom of your table, okay? Put this on the bottom, and now you're going to go from end to end and do the same thing where you're going to crumple it, but now that fold is right there in the middle. And so again, you have a bow tie, but this is a little bit of an easier method than worrying about overlapping and doing all those things. So I'm going to put it in my chenille stem, pushing it all the way down and giving it 2 quick ties. So this looks very similar to the first method that I showed you, but if you notice, it's not folded over. And that's it. And so we're going to do this and just go around the base, do this 11 more times. Have to try the pancake. You haven't tried it yet, Rosie? It's super simple, and I'll tell you, it is a very budget-friendly way to make a wreath, and it also is great for those doors when you have, you know, you want to put it on your front door, but you have a screen door, so it's perfect for that. But my mom, I was talking to my mom, and she said, you know, you need to make something like a little bit more budget friendly, because I generally make super large showstopper pieces that are, you know, anywhere from the $150 all the way up to $500 range. So she was like, let's make something cheaper that can fit in my door. So that's what we're going with today. This is my method you learned from Wreaths of Joy, Health Geek. Oh, nice. The fold over. I'll be honest with you, so did I. I learned from Wreaths of Joy. When I first started, I watched Wreaths of Joy, and it was very easy for me to pick up. I didn't stay with that method for very long because I wanted it to be larger. So, and then I got into a coaching group, and they didn't show this method. So, like I said, I'm going back to the basics today, and we're going to go way back to when I first started designing, and that's this method for me. So everybody has a different way. There's all kinds of videos out there that you can watch to learn different ways to roll your mesh. I mean, literally, there's tons and tons of ways. You did too, Wreaths of Joy? Yeah, see, everybody. I mean, we all have the same foundations of learning. And again, I haven't done this method in a really long time, probably in, I don't know, over a year and a half maybe, but I just wanted to do something simple today. It takes a lot for me to go live because I have to really organize my whole setup and everything, so I just wanted to do something simple and easy, laid back today. Thank you so much for the roses. And just so you know, I do have a goal up here that's a little Halloween ghost bell that's really cute. It's only 1 coin as well. So if you want to throw that instead of the rose, I think it's really fun and cool looking. But again, if you could just tap and share, tap my face and share. Again, if you're engaged, you're going to get more engagement from other followers for your pages as well. So I'm not sure, Rosie, Health Geek, if you have followings or you're trying to go live or anything like that, but that will also help you. You don't have to buy coins or send gifts, but tapping and sharing will help you as well, or leaving comments in the live. Thank you so much for the follow. Wandering Wanda. Again, so what's everyone doing today? Rosie and I, we already decided we're staying home today. What about anyone else? You doing anything fun? And I'm just using a real basic burlap mesh with snowdrift in it. I think it looks very rustic looking for fall. It's beautiful, so that's what we're using. And this base only takes one roll of mesh. So again, super budget friendly. And that's what we're going with here. All right, so we have one layer on our base. This is what we've got. You won't see the orange chenille stems once we're done, so don't worry about that. Now, we do need to put our ribbon tails in here, but I'm going to do that after. I know Wreaths of Joy teaches it after as well, but I know there's a couple of other designers who teach that, especially if you're doing a pancake wreath, you do your first layer of mesh first, then you add your ribbon tails, then you do your next layer of mesh, and then your ribbon tails. So sort of like a layering effect. I'm not going to do that. I want to add my tails after. So we're going to keep going with our mesh. You're still learning me too, Health Geek, me too. But there's a couple of really fantastic creators that I follow that teach how to engage on TikTok. They teach tips on your videos. They teach how to get engagement. And so again, you know, I'm sharing with you what I've learned. And one of those things is just tapping, sharing, and commenting can help your engagement. And then, you know, of course, there's ways that you can help with your videos and stuff like that. But you don't have to send gifts. Tapping, sharing, commenting on others' videos, or especially into their lives and commenting on the lives, that helps. So I can't send you ghosts, it won't let you. Okay, no worries. Thank you, Rosie. Thank you so much. I wonder if that gift is only just for certain, I don't know. I went live and I saw it and it was cute because I thought it looked like a little ghost. So I just decided to make that the goal, and if we hit it, we hit it. If we don't, we don't. I'm still fairly new going live on TikTok anyway, so I just appreciate anyone being here with me. You found it? Oh, thank you so much, Health Geek. Yep, you sure did. You sent it. Thank you for the gifts. Thank you for the roses. I appreciate it. You're new to TikTok? Me too, Rosie. I have been on TikTok for a while, but I'm new at going live. And I think for me, it was always just a matter of being scared. I didn't know what to say. I still don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. Sometimes I feel when I go on the Book of Face and go live, most of the time I'm by myself. And so I feel like I'm just talking to myself, and that's not a fun feeling. So I don't really love going live there. But here on TikTok, I think people are a lot more kind. They pop in, they say hello, they engage. It's like, because that's the TikTok way. I mean, that's just what you do here. And so because of that environment being conducive, I have found that it's easier to go live on TikTok. You can make mistakes, you can mess up. People don't judge you. You just, keep going, and they can come and go as they want to, stay as long as they want to, and it doesn't really impact you, and you get to just talk about whatever. And again, I still don't know what to talk about, so that's why you'll still see me a lot of times ask questions and so on and so forth, because I'm like, what do I talk about? What am I going to say? And today is very spontaneous. I didn't plan it. I got up and I was feeling a little sad about the fact that, it's a holiday. I'm by myself, and I was like, I'm just going to go live and see if anybody will talk to me. And so here we are. You're not good with tails or bows, you try. Yeah, it is. And you can play music, Rosie. I love that about TikTok. because it at least lets me know if like nobody's in the room with me, I can at least listen to music and not feel so alone. So I do love that about TikTok for sure. Thank you for the follow. Thank you so much. We are just doing a very simple, back to the basics, fall wreath design, you know, inspired by my mom, who was like, can you do something that's more budget friendly and that can fit in my door? So I'm gonna do probably 3 of these, and the reason why is because my sign came in a pack of 3. So why not do 3 and just, you know, put them in my shop. They'll be in my TikTok shop later. For those that didn't see, we're doing this sign here today. I love the cream pumpkin with the orange and the steel blue, so that's what we're working with here. Thank you for the follow. And we just have one more piece of mesh to put in, and it was really literally that simple and easy. I mean, I think we've only been on here, what, 30 minutes? Now, I did cut my mesh before I got on again. Nobody wants to sit and watch me cut mesh. I cut my mesh to 29 inches. You can do 29, 30. I'm just always afraid I'll run out of mesh because sometimes, you know, 10 feet isn't actually a real 10 feet. So again, we're just putting our little bow ties together and putting it into our chenille stems. If you have questions, let me know. I'm happy to help. The biggest challenge I have is people saying wreaths are so expensive. I break it down. Health Geek, I understand. That's one of the reasons why we're doing this one today, because honestly, my wreaths are generally anywhere from minimum $150 up to $600. So I try to do wreaths of all budgets, and this one is a very pretty base. It's going to be dual purpose. I mean, you can sit it on any door, but it also can go on a door with a screen, so it can, you know, act as a pancake wreath too. It's going to be more budget friendly. It has one roll of mesh. So you have your frame, your stems, your mesh, your ribbon, and your sign. You could literally sell this wreath for $50, $55, and it's a lot more budget friendly, right? Depending on how much stuff you're going to put in it. Now, I did pull some cream pumpkins just because I love the cream pumpkins in the sign. So I pulled some cream pumpkins, and I also pulled a little ivy, because remember I said in our sign, you've got a little piece of ivy right here. So but it's one stem, and this is a budget friendly stem. I think it was only $2 or $3, something like that. And we're going to cut this up and just put it in here. And this wreath is not going to be more than like $60. So very budget friendly. All right, let's go ahead and cut our ribbon tails. Thank you for the follow. Did you use, hi Charmaine. Did I use 2 rolls? No, I only used 1 roll of mesh, 1. That's the beautiful thing about this budget-friendly design. You can use 1 frame, 1 roll of mesh, some ribbon tails, a sign if you want to. You don't have to. Very, very, very simple. What size of frame? It's a 10-inch frame. You can also use a 14-inch frame. I use 12 chenille stems, so you can use anywhere from 10 to 14-inch frames and still only use 1 roll of mesh, okay? You started doing more swags than wreaths. I do swags too. I just did a Creepy Circus swag. This is almost like a swag, but it's on a window pane. So it's long and skinny like that, but I use this 10-inch skeleton that's in my shop, and I made that top hat that is on there, and it's got like a little raven over here eating stuff out of the mouth. It's kind of creepy but cool. So I do all kinds of designs. I do centerpieces, swags, garlands, wreaths, tablescapes. I just did a 4-foot centerpiece for fall made with some knitted pumpkins that I got from someone off Etsy. It's gorgeous. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking for our ribbon tails. So I want it to be a little bit more rustic, and then I'm going to come back in with some blues and creams for the top bow because I have to put a bow. Thanks for the follow. Thank you. Oh, thank you so much, Tremaine. You use bass scrunchies for wreaths too. Have I tried that? No, I have not tried that. I haven't. I'll have to watch a video or something like that to see what you're talking about, because I don't even really know what you're talking about, but I have so much ribbon on my table. All right, so I'm going to take my bow maker. And again, this is just really, really simple. Back to the basics. I'm going to put my, so if you have a bow maker, you've got your little notches in here, right? So I'm just going to do 12 inches. So the middle is 10 inches. So I'm just going beyond that into the next two. I want this to be 12 inches. I'm using a 1.5 inch ribbon and a 2.5 inch ribbon. Sorry, I don't know who's trying to ask me to co-host, but I'm new to TikTok and I haven't ever done that yet. So I apologize if I offend you. I didn't mean to. All right, so we're going to go ahead and wrap our ribbon around. And again, you've seen this method probably from Wreaths of Joy, but I'm just going to wrap it 6 times, which makes 12 tails. That's 4, 5, and 6. Actually, that's only 3. Sorry, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. I was counting, let me just make sure. I have to double check myself. It's been so long since I've done this type. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yep. So the goal is to have 12 tails at the end. I'm just going to cut that off. And now we're just going to cut these in half. One thing I will tell you is make sure you have good scissors, so that you don't fray all your ribbons. I'm also using a ribbon that's a little bit stiffer because I want it to really bend and bounce out in this design. So I'm using, see, look how easy that bent, and it's staying. So I really like this one. Now the ribbon I'm putting on the bottom underneath, it can be a little bit flimsier, and that's okay because that's not going to show as much. Hey Kelly, how's it going? Kelly, how are you on this 4th of July? What do you have planned for the day? We're just doing a very, very simple, back to the basics wreath for fall. And I haven't done one of these in a really long time. And so I just thought I'd pop on real quick, say hello to all the TikTok friends. Wish everybody a happy 4th. So again, we're just dovetailing our ends, and that's it. It's so simple. I mean, anyone can really throw this together in about an hour. The other thing I will tell you is you can make your dovetails more pointed if you want. Just make your cut on the slant longer or deeper. More of a V shape, if you know what I mean. But I like mine to just be a little bit of a V. You're staying home with the dog. Oh, yes. I remember you did tell me about the dog and the fireworks, and I felt so bad. So I'm glad you're staying home with the dog. My dog, even though he's blind, he does not really care too much about the fireworks. That's not what bothers him. What bothers him are those sudden movements around him because he can't see what's going on. And so that bothers him more than the noises. So, for instance, I have not changed the furniture in my house, the layout anyway, in years, because I don't want him to not know where he's at or where he's going. So I'm waiting, and at some point, you know, I'll rearrange the furniture, but not for a long time, because I need him to feel safe here. So, Kelly, I'll show you here in a second what my base looks like. I'm just using a fun burlap mesh. Here's our sign we're using. Again, it's a very smaller sign. And then here is the base that we just did in really quick few minutes. And it can act either as a pancake wreath or as just a smaller, more budget-friendly wreath. All right, let me move this out of the way. And now we're going to go ahead and move on to our 2.5 inch. And last year I was asked for one of these types of wreaths. At the time, a couple years ago, I was married, so my former mother-in-law asked for one, and she wanted pumpkins, so I did one for her, and she wanted it in orange and blue. So this is kind of a throwback to that, so again, this is a little bit of not as stiff, but I like it. This is a 2.5 inch. One of yours is going blind too. Oh, isn't it just so terrible? It just makes me feel so bad. So I don't know. Can you guys hear my music? Again, I just want to make sure it's not too loud. All right, so we're going to just wrap this around. Again, this is 12 inches, and we are going to go around 6 times and make 12 tails. So simple. That's 3, 3.5, 4, 4.5, 5, one more, and that's it. Simple. Now, because this is a grid ribbon, I like to find one of the lines and cut on the line. Just kind of helps me be a little bit more exact. Thank you for the share. I'm still trying to, again, new to TikTok, so still trying to learn all those things. So I didn't even get a chance to share it before I went live, and then when I went live, I had no idea where the share button was, so I appreciate you. All right, and again, make sure you have good scissors. I can tell I'm gonna probably need a new pair soon. I like to do mine in bundles of 3 so that I can get a better cut on my dovetails. But I know there are people who take all 6 and cut them all at once. I used to do that, but I just found that a lot of times it would cut my dovetails crooked, and then I'd have to recut, so I just saved myself. It shares it for you. I didn't know that, Kelly. Thank you. I had no idea. All right. So we're just, again, dovetailing these ends, and then we'll be ready. This song is down at the pool, and it's making me wish I was at the pool. So hot here. Is it hot where you are? Yesterday I was out and about, and I went to visit my grandma and grandpa's headstone at the cemetery, and I had just thought I was gonna melt. It was so hot. I didn't stay for very long. But my grandpa was a World War II veteran, and they were out at the cemetery yesterday doing all the yard work, so it was fresh cut grass and everything looked fresh and clean. It was really nice. All right, so now all of our ribbon tails are done. We have these, and we have these. Again, if you have any questions, please let me know. I'm happy to help. I'm going to go ahead and put this away for right now. And put my ribbon away. And then we can go ahead and get started on adding our tails. All right, so those are just joining. I used a 10-inch base. You can use 10 or 14. And I used 29 to 30-inch pieces of mesh, 12 of them, and just put that on here. And I showed you 2 ways you could add your mesh depending on the style that you like. All right, thank you for the follow. And again, if you don't have to send gifts, but if you tap my face and share out the live, it also helps you with your engagement as you go forward and do lives. All right, so we're just layering like this, finding the center by folding it in half, and then I like to put it on the table. I do mine a little different. Some people start on one end and go across. I actually start in the middle and pull the ends inside, just because I feel like it helps the edges stay more like a bow tie. And then I fold it down into a V. Okay, so then you're just going to add that into your chenille stem. And you know, as I told you, you can do a layer of mesh and then tails, then a layer of mesh and then tails. I don't. I do all my mesh first and then go back and do all my tails. And then once you get your tails in there, go ahead and pull them out a little bit. Don't make them all clumped in. If you pull them out, it's going to show more of your ribbon and it's going to just make it look fuller. Thank you. All right, so again, we're just going in the middle, folding it to find the center. And again, do what works for you because this should be easy and fun. You can start on one end and scrunch, 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 scrunch down into the middle like this. Like some people do that, and then you have a tail, fold it into a V. You can do it that way. Put it into your mesh. I don't do mine that way because I actually have more issues with my ribbon tails when I do it that way. I don't love the way it turns out and looks, and I'll show you here in a minute why. Look, so if I pull this down, see how this kind of bends in a little bit? I don't love that. That's why I don't go from end to end. And I go from the middle out when I do my tails because I like for it to look a little bit less, I guess, wrinkly. So let me show you again. You take your ribbon tails, put them in the middle like this, right? Find your center, fold it in the middle, pinch the bottom. So now you have the middle. And so when you lay it on the table, I'm going to start in the middle and scrunch it in the middle. And then I'm going to scrunch the outsides in. So let me show you if you can see on the table. We start in the middle, scrunch the middle, and then pull the outsides in. Thank you for the heart, me. The mesh was 10 by 10. Yes, it was. It was one roll of mesh that we used. Okay, so there you have it. We did the same thing, only starting in the middle on the ribbon tails to just make that a little bit more clean. I'll show you after I put it in the design and you'll be able to see what I'm talking about as far as the difference and how one looked wrinkly and the other did not. Okay. So this one is when we went in the middle, and see how that bow tie right here just looks less wrinkly and looks a little cleaner. That's my preference. Again, do it how you want. You can't make a mistake, okay? That's one thing I will say. You can't really make a mistake because it's your vision. It's what you want it to be. It doesn't have to be what somebody else says should be. It should be what you like, what you want to make. So do that. Do more of that. So now we're just going to go ahead and keep going with our tails. But if you have questions, I'm happy to help if I can. So again, just to recap on what we did, I used a 10-inch wire base with 12 stems. You can use a 14-inch base as well. We used one roll of mesh, 10 inches by 10 feet, one roll. Then we used 2 ribbons, and they are 12 inches long. I used a 2.5, and I used a 1.5. And I cut 12 of these, 12 inches, right? Now, one thing you can do that has worked for me that makes your wreath look even more dimensional, you can take 2 different patterns of 2.5 and just make 6 of each, and 2 different patterns of your 1.5 and 6 of those. So then you just alternate. You do 1 pair combo, another pair combo, go back to this one, and go all the way around. That adds another completely different dimension that looks fantastic, and I love that. I've done that many times, many times. I need to cut that just a little bit. And I really like the way that that ends up looking. It also gives you the ability to add other colors. So let's say you're trying to do a wreath with many different base colors. That lets you do your tails to cover all of those color combos. Thank you so much for the heart me. And if you see me looking over here to the side, it's just I'm looking at comments. Again, make sure you tap, 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 share, comment. That helps your engagement as well when you go live or when you post videos on your page. It's all about the activity algorithm within TikTok. And you know, I have been following, I've been following another creator for a couple of months now, and I just stumbled upon one of her friends that offers all kinds of TikTok tips and tricks and ways to increase your engagement. So what I'm sharing with you is not anything that I've come up with on my own. It's all things that I've learned from other creators, and it has helped me grow my following. And so again, I'm just sharing what I know. Okay, so we now have the entire bottom base done, the bottom row done. See how we have all of our ribbon tails? So now we're just going to go into that top part right there and do the exact same thing. Exact same thing. Again, this is just a repeat, rinse, recycle, however you want to say it. It's just doing it all over repetitively. And then once we're done with that, we can do the fun parts where we put on our sign and use a little bit of some cream pumpkins, and we're going to use a little bit of ivy. And again, this is still going to be budget friendly because we're not going to use a whole bunch of added embellishments. Hey David, happy 4th of July. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate you. Today, David, we aren't doing anything creepy or elaborate or show-stopping. We're doing something simple, something easy, something that anyone can pick up and learn how to do. Make something that's a little bit more budget friendly, especially now during these times where everybody's watching their pennies and their, their dollars. So we're making a very, very simple, easy fall design. And we are putting together our 12-inch ribbon tails, and we are putting it into this. Love your shirt, thank you so much. We are putting it into this 10-inch base, And again, you can use a 10-inch, you can use a 14-inch, and you use one roll of mesh. That's it, just one. So because you're using only one roll of mesh, you know, you can use something fun, a little bit more expensive, you know, splurge a little bit. But again, if you want to keep it more budget friendly, then use something that's maybe just a little bit more on the cheaper side as far as mesh goes. All right. So actually, I oh no, here. I was gonna say, I thought I miscounted my ribbon tails, but one had dropped into the box. So that happens. I've miscounted a lot of times. So just go back and make another one. If you miscount, it's not a big deal. What are you doing for the 4th, David? Anything fun? Okay, again, we're just putting in our tails. Let's see. And I'll go back and clean up these chenille stems because some people leave them poking out. I don't. But I'll go back and clean that up here in a few minutes. Thank you for the loves and likes and shares, everyone. Really do appreciate it. If you're new here on TikTok or you're new to my page, drop me a blue heart. I'm curious to see how many new ones we have. Outside work with family, fireworks later. How about you? I actually, David, don't have much family around, so I don't have any plans. I'm doing a little bit of work, doing a live design, and then I'm not really sure what else we're going to be doing. It's just really me. I have 4 children, and 2 are still here with me. They're older, they're adults, but, you know, they've gone through some difficult times, so I say that quietly. But, you know, they're here with me, and my son is actually working, and my daughter is in the other room, so. And then my other 2, my oldest son and my oldest daughter lives in Michigan with her husband, and then my oldest son lives in Florida with his wife. He was in Japan for 6 years and for the military, and then came home stateside. Okay, here's what we have. Now again, I'm going to leave those chenille stems just because I haven't decided yet where I want some of these pumpkins and some of this ivy to go. So I want to just leave that bare until the very end, and then I'm going to cut them off and put them in. So let's go ahead and now this base is fantastic. It's just a very simple wire base. There's nothing on the back or on the front yet that tells you where your top is. So I'm going to go ahead and put my sign in the middle. Now I will tell you one tip that I learned that I still hold to this day is when you're putting your sign in, let me show you up here. When you're putting your sign in, you see how you have a bundle of tails here, you have a bundle of tails here, and a bundle here. So I have 2 points on my sign. So I'm going to take these 2 points and I'm going to put them in between these 2 spots where the tails are, instead of putting them on top of the tails. And the reason why I do that is because you'll be able to, it'll just make it look a little bit more full. So I'm going to go right in, put my sign in here, and I'm going to take my wire. I attached it with floral wire. And I did that because floral wire goes through your mesh so much easier and holds it into place versus my experience with using a chenille stem or something else. So I like for it to just go right down in there. And I'm going to flip it over and find my wire. And the other thing that I will tell you is don't force it down in there too deep, because you don't want your sign getting buried down into your mesh. Okay, so I'm just taking my wire here and wrapping it around. Make sure you wrap it around one of those bars. Okay, so see how it's not buried, it's just attached. That's it. You don't have to make it go really deep down in there. You have 2 adults at home and 1 in high school. Oh, that's cool. They're your children, that's perfectly fine. My daughter, her little family lives with me. I just love that, Charmaine. I mean, I'm going to tell you right now, like, it's been a lifesaver for me because I'm not alone. I don't feel totally alone. It's nice to have another adult to talk to, right? And it's just nice, especially like if I decide I want to go out and do something, I can, you know, somebody's worried about me and worried if I'm going to come home and worried if I don't. So that's nice. There's 8 altogether. Oh, wow. That's cool, though. Probably never gets boring. What else? I missed a comment. David, oh, I feel you. I don't either. It's just me and my parents, brother, and my boyfriend. Hey, that's fine. It's perfect. Whatever works for you. Okay, so again, we are just sticking our wire. I'm trying to show you, but see how we are sticking the wire right into the mesh, and I'm going to wrap it around this bar right here just to give it more security. It's also going to give that chenille stem a little security. Now I'm going to make sure it looks like how I want it to look, fluffing everything out. I think it's just a little too tight, so I'm going to loosen it up just a little bit, but I haven't snipped it or anything yet, so I can do that. Just loosen it up a little so it's not so, we don't have to suffocate it. Most are all young adults now. Yeah, I love that. Okay, much better, much better. There we go. Now, this is popping out just a little bit, so I might add another hole in the bottom just to sort of, or the other thing I can do, which I just did, is you just bring your mesh out towards the front a little bit more, and I don't even need to make another hole. Look, it's fine. Simple. So simple. We didn't have to make any holes. We didn't have to do anything different or fantastic or elaborate with this, and it's just already in there, and you don't need to do anything else. And again, this is your design. You do what you want and how you want it to look. All right, here's what we have. One daughter is a sergeant in Space Force. That's fantastic. I love that. Oh, thank you so much, Charmaine. I appreciate you. Okay, this is really it. Now, you could stop here if you want to. You could just totally stop. And this is gorgeous. I would like to have a little bit of a bow. I'm going to put a bow on here somewhere. I got to figure out where I want to put that. But remember, I said I want to use some blue. So that's why I want to make a bow. I just want to use a little bit of this blue. So typically, let me show you what I think. Typically when I make a bow, I either put one down here, down at the bottom, or I also like one on the side. I don't know why, but I typically graduate to the left side. So I think on this design though, I want to give it a little bit of length, okay? I just wanted to make it look a little bit bigger. So I'm going to make a bow with longer tails, and we're going to put that at the bottom instead of on the left side. Because if I put a bow on the left side, the tails are going to hang down and it's not going to give you any length. So if I put it on the bottom and we add some longer tails, you're going to have a little bit more length to your design. So that's what we're going to do. All right, so I'm just putting that to the side. And I'll tell you now, I typically always hand tie my bows. I use my bow maker more for making my ribbon tails so they're even. But I like to hand tie my bows because I don't like perfect bows. I don't like perfect loops. I don't like perfect tails. I like my tails one to be longer than the other one. I like my loops to just have a little bit of different dimension. But today we're making a simple bow. So we're going to go ahead and do that. I am going to use... I think I'm going to use a couple more chenille stems. And I'm just going to use 2. Now I will tell you, when I tie my bows in the middle, I like to use a zip tie because I know it's going to be secure versus having to have enough strength in my hand to twist the chenille stems. So I'm just going to put this right down here in the center so that I can use it when I get ready to be done. What's the name of that design? Do you mean the way I folded the mesh? What method did I use? I used the fold cruffle method. So you just fold your mesh in half towards the center, flip it over, and then cruffle up towards the middle, and it makes like a little bow tie. But when you put it down into your chenille stems, if you make it really super tight, it pops those cruffles up and makes it look fuller. Yep. Okay, so I'm not sure if I want to use any more orange because there's so much orange already. So I think I'm going to just use some blue and creams in my bow. And I want some very easy, simple 6-inch loops. So my tails, remember, I don't like my tails to be the same. So I'm not going to measure 10 and 10 and all that. What I will do is I will start with a 10-inch tail, and my other tail will probably be a little bit longer. So I'm just measuring it against my board here. This is my 10 inches. So we'll just start here. And there are so many different videos out there about how you can make bows. So you don't have to follow me because I don't do things the same way as other people. So I am going to make a 6-inch loop. You learned so much today. Oh, that makes me so happy. I'm so thankful that you stopped by. Hopefully you learned even a tip or trick somewhere along the way that will help you. Remember I said I don't measure? So one of my loops is like between 6.5 and 7. It doesn't matter. Don't worry. Don't stress it. Don't even think about it. Make it how big you want it to be. I mean, it could be 7. It can be 6. What's important is, does it look good to you? It's not even a perfect size. The other side, it isn't going to be perfect either. It's probably going to be about 6 inches or 6.5 inches, and that's okay. You know why? It's the bottom, and it doesn't matter. All right, so this is my second tail. So I am just, again, you can measure this out to be 10 if you want it to be perfect, I don't. So I'm just going to cut where I want to, and it doesn't matter. Because I'm not a perfect person. I know that. Hey Jennifer, how's it going? How are you doing today? Thanks for jumping on here. We're making a very simple, easy, back to the basics fall design because I just wanted to jump on and spend a little bit of time with my TikTok friends since I didn't have plans for the 4th. Okay, so here's my cream ribbon that I thought we would use, but I think I want to just add a little bit of this to add some dimension. So I'm going to add this. Now I'm not going to do a bunch of loops and tails. What I'm going to do is just use one piece, okay? So I'm going to use one piece. Again, I'm not going to really measure it, but I'm just going to stick that down in here. And I'm just going to roughly make it about as long as my other tail. And you don't have to measure. Clean it up after. I'm not going to measure it. I'm going to clean it up after I'm done. When I get it on my design and I'm ready and it looks good. All right, we're going to use this scalloped cream. I love this. All right, so we're going to start with one tail over to the side first. And I'm just kind of rough guessing it. Now my loop, again, remember you don't have to measure. All I'm really doing is just kind of going out to the edge, seeing, let me show you what I'm talking about. Can you see? Let me show you this way. So my loop comes out to here. I'm just going to take this other loop and see how you can see the blue underneath just a little bit. That's all. That's the only way I'm measuring. I'm not measuring it. I'm just making it a little shorter. I know a lot of people say make it 1/2 inch, da 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 da. Do what you feel. I don't feel like measuring. I'm not a perfect person. I'm not measuring 1/2 inch. And again, on the other side, I'm just rough guessing it and making my loop, making my other tail. I am not measuring it, but I am going to go ahead and cut it at a slant so that it's already cut for me. All right, and we have one more ribbon that I'm just going to throw on the top. That one was a 1.5 inch. So I'm going to use this really pretty steel blue glitter, and it's a 7/8, so it's going to be a gorgeous little top bow. Let me talk about top bows for a second. You can do another 2 loop like this. You can do that and put it on top if you want to. Remember, we have the blue loops, we have the cream loops, and then we have just one strip. You can do 2 loops of your top bow. It's going to be pretty. I would suggest putting something in the middle, or the other thing that you can do is you can make it look like your top bow is a knot. And what I mean by that is you're only going to use 1 loop, or you can use a loop on each side with a loop in the middle. I'm going to cut my ribbon to an angle. So we are going to just add our tail. Again, clean it up at the end. I'm going to twist it. And let's make 1 loop. And I'll show you what I was talking about. Now, you can completely make 1 little loop like that. And make your 2 tails off hanging down, right? You can make 1 tail poking up, 1 tail poking down. You can have both tails going down. This gives you a finishing piece right here. Now you can do that, or you can make 2 loops with a middle. So let me show you what I mean. I'm going to go ahead and make my loop just a little shorter. And I'm doing that because I really like this ribbon. I like that it adds a pop of glitter. It's adding that extra blue that I want. Right? Okay, so here's what it looks like as we would typically do a 2-loop bow. But now I'm going to add a little pop in the middle, just a little bubble to make it look like it's got a centerpiece, right? And then I'm going to bring my tail out. I'm just going to cut it at an angle. And I'm going to bring that downward just a little bit. Okay. Take this off. Now let me show you what we've got. So you can see that little bubble in the middle. And I do that because it's going to give you a little bit more of a finish on your bow. Okay, now we're ready for our zip tie. Again, there's so many videos on how to make bows, so please, you know, don't take this as any kind of thing that you need to follow or rewatch it to figure out how to make a bow. Honestly, I just make bows how I want, how I feel in that moment, and what I like. So and sometimes your zip ties don't want to play correctly with you. Like right now, this one wants to be a pain. You love it. Love that smoke blue. I love it too. I love this blue. And it just looks so good with that fall orange. It really does. Okay, now I am kind of situating my ribbon before I fully bring my zip tie together. Okay, I'm going to show you what I've got so far. Okay. Sorry, I had to do the little puzzle piece. Okay. So you've got your 2 loops now on the side, and remember what I said about your middle piece? See how you've got a finishing piece and you don't have to add anything extra in the middle if you don't want to. I love doing that. You don't have to. You can do it however you want to, right? And our bow is done. Now it's just a matter of cleaning it up, getting it in the design. I'm fluffing out all my loops so that they go where I want them to go. And then we'll dovetail and do all the things. And this is really our bow. So we're going to dovetail this one and dovetail some of our ends. Dovetail our ends. Again, you can make it as big of a V as you want by moving where you cut. Now I can tell immediately this is ribbon that's going to fray, so we're going to do something different. Let me show you. See how that's already fraying at the end? And I just cut it. So I'm going to cut this across It doesn't have to be perfect. And I'm going to fold it. And I really want the gold to show, so I'm going to fold it in. Now, you can fold it the other way if you want. But this will help your ribbon from fraying. So we're going to do it to the other side too. I had forgotten that this ribbon did that, or I would have just done it from the very beginning. But hey, we learned together. So we're going to fold it and then fold it again. Now the other thing you can do, I'm not using any hot glue today, but you can take a little bit of hot glue and just tap it in here and fold it over, and then your ribbon will stay. This ribbon though isn't going anywhere. It's really thick and firm, so it's not going to unfold anyway. And there we have our bow. Thank you so much, Jennifer. Thank you for the share. Okay, and again, you know, if you're new here, drop me a purple heart. If you're new, if this is your first time watching me, I would love to know, you know, some of the things I've been sharing along with wreath making tips that are tips on things I've picked up and learned through some of the other creators. And, you know, again, you can increase your engagement and your engagement from others by sharing, commenting during the lives. If you do that, that will help you. Okay, so I made a mistake and I didn't put my chenille stem in here before I zip tied it. So we're just going to cut this zip tie and do it again. No big deal. So I just cut that off. Now I can put my chenille stem in there. And we'll put another zip tie around it. Thank you, Rosie, for being here. I appreciate you. I know that Jennifer, I am in a group with her, so this isn't her first time seeing me. All right, so we just put our chenille stem along the back and then went back and added the zip tie again. Very simple. Doesn't take long. Actually, I don't like it, so I'm going to redo it. That's the beautiful thing about you can zip tie your bows and stuff. If you don't like it, just redo it. It doesn't matter. And I didn't like it, so. There's no mistakes. I know that sometimes when you're starting out, it can feel like that, and it can feel a little overwhelming sometimes. But I would say probably the first thing that I would give as a tip is be a little bit lighter on yourself and give yourself a little bit more grace. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. I like this a lot more. Okay, there we go. All right, so let's put it on our design. We're ready to do that. And again, if you just coming in, here is our design and our sign. So you'll see this blue here. That's what I'm picking up in this top bow. And I'm again putting it, how I've decided where I wanted it is I'm putting this bow along the bottom so that I can add a little bit of depth and length to my piece. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these chenille stems since I'm done with the orange ones. Fold them over so they're hidden. And then I'm going to go in with my top bow. And I'm just going to wrap it right around what's already in here. I'm curious. I know a few of you have said you've picked up some tips and I love that. Let me know in the comments if you've picked up any of my tips along the way during your time watching me, or on any lives, any of my lives, any of my tutorials, anything. All right, this we're going to make a little bit tighter. We're twisting our chenille stems. I like to twist towards the item, not away, because it makes it a little tighter. Thank you for the purple hearts. Thank you for being here. I know you can watch anyone on other lives, so thank you for staying and joining me. I appreciate you. I love when new people come in. All right, and we're just going to fold over our chenille stem so it's not poking out. And let's go ahead and cut our wires from our sign, because our wires are where we want them to be now. Again, we put our sign in with metal floral wire because it is easier to poke through the mesh. Make sure once you cut your floral wire that you poke the ends back into your mesh. You don't want those to scratch up your customers' doors. Push it all the way back into your mesh. You shouldn't be able to see any piece of it sticking out. See right here? You cannot see any wire. All right, so now we've got our bow on. Let's go ahead and fluff the bow. Get those loops where we want, tails where we want. Get this bow all situated. Again, I'm not a perfect person. I don't like all my loops going the same way. I like for them to be a little bit crisscrossed, unorganized. That's just me. I'm not a perfect person. I don't place all the things in the right places. We're going to go ahead and dovetail this. And that cut crooked, so I'm just going to trim it up. I cut these tails at a slant, and my cream scalloped at a slant, the stripe at a dovetail so it matches the design. And again, we rolled up the tails on the blue velvet. All right, here's what we have. So see how I pulled my loops out and they're not even? The blue, one's up, one's down, then you've got your center. I like it that way. I don't like it to be all trying to be perfect in some random spot that has to look like it's the right place to be. But these tails will give your design, see, look how long they are, and they give your design a couple extra inches, right? And who doesn't love a flowy tail? I love flowy tails. So, and I like curly tails. That's it. Again, you can stop here. Stop. If you want to stop, you can stop here. I want to throw in a couple of pumpkins, okay? I want to. So it's going to bring that middle pumpkin out and just, give it in a little extra. And we're going to add in a couple pieces of ivy. That's it. So I'm not even going to use this whole stem, okay? Remember, we have 6 pieces of mesh on the top and 6 on the bottom. I'm just going to use a couple pumpkins and a couple pieces of ivy just for the top. That's it. I'm definitely going to use this one because it's got this, can you see this little curly? I'm definitely using that. And then I am probably going to use one of the bigger ones. Sorry, I know that's so loud. All right, so I like this big pumpkin here with the piece of ivy. So we're going to use that one. I'm just cutting it off. I want to use this one with the curly. I'm going to cut that piece off. And then I am going to use just one more. I'm going to use a big one and a small one. So I'm going to go ahead and pick up another small one instead of two big ones. And that's it. That's all I'm going to use on this. Okay, so this is the pieces that we have now. And I am going to use the bigger one, probably somewhere off to the side, closer to the bow, I think. And all I'm going to do is, again, we're not using any glue. We're not using any glue. I'm going to insert this in between my chenille stems. And I'm going to twist it in. Now, tip. Take a dab of glue later and go back and put it right on top of that chenille stem where you tied in your greenery. That works too. Okay, but look, you don't even need any glue. And you've got a pumpkin now, and it's on the wire. You can bend it how you want. And we're going to do that 2 more times. Simple. And I'm just literally sticking it in and then tucking my chenille stems underneath. So you've got one up there. Now that one is a little bit more loose, so I will probably put a little bit of glue dab on it. But we're putting in one more here. Have a great weekend. Catch you later. Thank you so much, Health Geek. Thank you for stopping in. And again, I'm just tucking those chenille stems down underneath. Now, I did pull that out a little bit just to give it a little bit more not perfect look. And that's it. Now I've got 3 pumpkins. I'm going to add in a couple pieces of ivy because, again, I want to bring that ivy out of this sign. I'm just going to take 3 pieces. Not a whole lot. Doesn't have to be a lot. And again, this is a budget-friendly stem anyway, so the fact that you're not using all of it means you can do 2 designs with 1 stem. This is just 1 piece, and we're just going to go in and stick this in to the other top chenille stems that don't have a pumpkin. And I'm actually going to tie it right above where some ivy leaves come in, just so that those ivy leaves will help catch it and also help hide the chenille. I'll show you what I mean. So what I mean by that is, see on here, branch here where you've got a little node, right here, a node of leaves. I like to tie my chenille stem right above the node, right up here. So then these wrap around the chenille stem. And you can't see it. It just grabs onto the chenille stem and keeps it in place easier in case you don't have any glue that you want to use. Okay, all right, so we've got 1 on each side, and now we're just going to go in between these other 2 pumpkins. my chenille stem got pushed all the way down in there, so I'm just trying to find it real quick. There it is. Any questions? If anybody has any questions, I'm happy to answer questions or help in any way that I can. I know this is a little hard to see right now, so, but again, I'm just tucking the chenille stems in behind the sign, and I like to twist my ivy a little bit. It just gives it, again, a little bit more dimension. And that's it. Again, very, very basic, easy design. Again, I will go back, fix my little loops and bows and all of that to make sure my sign's not hidden. But this is what we have. A very short, very easy fall design.